Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys at Magic. This is Hunter, Steven, and David. Say what up, boys.
Yo.
I'm back.
Welcome back, Steven. You are here. We are doing today being August 23rd, 2022, for another episode of Spoilers for Dominaria United. We got a good handful today. I'm pretty excited to talk about them. So, let's just jump straight into it with Defiler of Flesh. Defiler of Flesh is 2 and 2 black for a 4/4 creature Phyrexian Horror. It has Menace. It says, as an additional cost to cast black permanent spells, you may pay 2 life. Those spells cost black less to cast if you paid life this way. This effect reduces only the amount of black mana you pay. Whenever you cast a black permanent spell, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains Menace until end of turn. This might be the weakest of the cycle we've seen so far.
I mean, it's basically like Crick. Yeah?
I think it's bad. Like,
I mean, yeah, it's shitty.
4 mana 4/4 Menacer. It's not anything to scoff at. It's that second ability, obviously paying 2 life for black spells is pretty good. But as far as the last ability goes, it is probably the weakest of the bunch.
I think it's
Dave,
just flavor text.
what do you think, Dave?
Oh,
I'm
here we
struggling
go.
right now. What's the name of the demon that allows you to draw cards when you pay life?
Villas? Broker of Blood?
There you go. I think this would be absolutely fantastic in a deck like that, given that this is... So, 4 mana for a 4/4 with Menace, honestly, is actually, I think, pretty solid still. The fact that you can pay life for it and in a color that likes to pay life already, I think you're kind of underselling the fact that, like, you're more likely going to have additional synergies in this color than others. So, like, I understand the effect here obviously isn't going to be permanent, but you might not need it to be. Giving something +1/+0 and Menace means it's got that pump and pseudo evasion. I can totally see this as a finisher.
+1/+1.
I was wrong
Did I
about
say
the
counter
Villa.
or
You say +1/+0.
the +1/+1 and Menace and what was the name of the demon? Just so that I can make sure I get the name right.
Oh, no, maybe I was right. No, fuck it. Yeah, I was right. Yeah, Villas
you
is whenever you lose life, draw that many cards.
Yeah. So, like, I feel like this would be absolutely fantastic in that kind of EDVH deck because you're going to be playing potentially mono black at that point, and you're just going to be drawing cards with every card you cast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I always think about standard when we do these kind of videos, and I guess we kind of just touch base a little bit later on the EDH factor, but I think in EDH this is definitely a must go in like a mono black deck or a pay life deck for sure.
100%.
I'm still pretty high on this for standard.
Yeah. Like I said, a 4 mana 4/4 Menacer.
I think
Nothing to
this is a
scoff at.
2-color deck. I don't think this is a mono black deck.
I get
Even
either.
Even if it's not, though, I like I mentioned earlier, like there's a lot of black decks out there that want to pay life. So the fact that this gives you an outlet for it, I think that could potentially be really, really powerful. I'm also curious to see like what kind of implications this might have for any kind of like Death Shadow deck. Would this potentially slot into something like that? I know that exists in what is the arena format? Alchemy.
Historic? Oh, they did change it to Alchemy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm curious to see kind of its implications past standard as well. And then, I mean, this is a beater that helps make your other creatures beaters as well.
Yeah, funny story for the kids at home. First time I ever played Arena online, David showed me the historic format, and he actually played that card that he mentioned, and it hurt. It hurt a lot.
Used to be such a good format. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
I think Defiler of Flesh has a place in definitely this form of standard, especially with black cards nowadays gaining life. This is just, it fits in. Things like the Meat Hook Massacre that gains you life, things like the Anvil that gains you life. I think this is great. It's going to see play.
Black-white.
Maybe black-red. Next up, we have Quirion Beastcaller. Quirion Beastcaller is 1 and green for a 2/2 creature Dryad Warrior. It says whenever you cast a creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Quirion Beastcaller. When Quirion Beastcaller dies, distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on Quirion Beastcaller. This is a very good card.
No, this card is fantastic.
It really is. Dave, does this
David?
remind you of anything?
I'm trying to remember. There's a card. It's a 1-drop. A
Funny.
Pelt.
Pelkar?
Yeah. There you go.
Pelt Collector.
I don't know. I think this card is fine. I don't think it's fantastic. I think it's just fine. I think green creatures as a whole have just been pushed so fucking heavily, and this set is absolutely no exception. I mean, it's a really good card, as most of green's drops at this point. I feel like it's a kill on sight creature.
Yeah, this is going to see play in, I think, any creature-based deck running green.
Agree, dude. I think this with mono green Stompy is going to be so much fun.
It's going to be insane. You're going to have to find a way to kill something, because this is going to grow so fast. Yeah, but once it dies, you keep the counters. It's basically an Ozolith.
A green Ozolith.
See, I feel like this is really bad card design.
Why?
It's just it's one of those rares where it's just like it's gonna eliminate so many other 2-drops. Where it's like, why would I ever want to play a different 2-drop whenever this thing just like carries the world on its shoulders?
Depends on what kind of deck you're running.
If it runs green, there
If
you
it
go.
runs creatures,
Put this in as
sure.
your 2-drop.
It's very heavily creatured.
I don't think you even have to be very heavy. I think you could be like just an average creature deck. Just like run like a standard number of creatures, and I think that this card honestly pulls in its weight.
I think this card might be broken and limited, but we'll find out.
Will we find out in a limited amount of time?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Definitely going to be a thing to deal with limited.
A thing to deal with, yes, but I mean, shit, a 3/4 with flying is a thing to deal with limiting.
It's true.
Holy shit! Wait a second. Look at our next card.
Hey, transition. This is Serra Paragon. Serra Paragon is 2 and 2 white for a 3/4 creature angel. It has flying. It says once during each of your turns, you may play a land from your graveyard or cast a permanent spell with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. If you do, it gains when this permanent is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, exile it, and you gain 2 life. This is a good card.
Spoiler alert, I could have used this in that mono white land destruction deck I played for the random rumble.
That video hasn't even come out yet, Steven.
That's why I said spoiler alert.
Oh. Yep, that's being edited at the moment. This card is good.
It's got its mythic rarity for a reason. It's a 4 mana, 3/4. This is going to absolutely pull its weight in limited. It's probably just going to just win you the game on the back of this thing with its recursion ability. I could totally see this thing play in standard as well, just because once this thing does resolve, I mean, the value here is just going to be a beating. Your opponent needs to deal with this immediately.
Yeah. And I like the fact that it's not even like they had to add that little extra. I don't know why to add gain to life. That's such a weird thing to add.
I mean,
Mono
that's
white.
it's not even the mono white, because the recursion on its own could be a white thing. It's just like I feel like that's kind of, I want to say, the icing on the cake, but it's just like such a sweet little bonus where even in the case you don't get to utilize whatever permanent you just put back into play, you're going to be getting value regardless.
I know it's I don't know why they had to add it. It's just
It's a
wild.
cherry on top, sir.
It's too much. Oh, right.
It is.
This is a wild card. A wild card.
I think the power level of this set is very much pushed.
Let's see if you like this blue card, Dave. This is Haughty Djinn. Haughty Djinn is 1 and 2 blue for a star 4 creature, Djinn. It has flying. It says its power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. And instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. What do you think, Dave?
Yep. Kind of reminds me of, what is it, Cackling or Crackling Drake? I think it's Crackling. which was 1 extra mana. Pretty similar in terms of like what it is that it did. It was a big beater in the air that was kind of a payoff for a Spellslinger deck. Plus the fact that this thing gives you the cost reduction is huge. I would be very surprised if this doesn't find some kind of a home in a deck in Standard.
I mean, this
Yeah.
card's great, dude. Flying, 4 toughness, and its power can only grow. Cost reduction. Like, I mean, what's not to like?
What is not to like? There is a lot to like. I like your attire. It looks simple.
More nipples.
Far from it.
More nibbles.
Yes,
I mean,
this is going to be thrown into a Spellslinger deck.
Oh, all day, every day, dude.
Yeah. And it has flying on top of that. Good lord. Next up, Steven, I think this was your favorite. This is Stenn, Paranoid Partition. Stenn, Paranoid Partition is white and blue for a 2/2 legendary creature human wizard. It says, as it enters the battlefield, choose a card type other than creature or land. Spells you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. Also, you can pay 1 a white and a blue. You can exile Stenn and return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step.
Yeah, this card's
Protection.
fucking great, dude. Yeah, I watched a Command Quarters video today on this, and I mean, it's difficult, obviously, in a 100 card deck, but it can pull off a turn 1 win, and that's the kind of shit I like.
Yeah, we will talk about this more as a commander in our commander grades video.
Stay
But,
tuned.
stay tuned. But what do we think of this as a card without going into too much detail on the EDH side, David?
without talking about EDH, I am actually not very high on this card.
And spoiler for EDH, you are?
I think that this does a lot more in EDH, but outside of EDH, the reduction of only a specific type, I feel like is maybe a little too restrictive. Like I would want to play this probably in like an artifact build, and I don't know if there's enough cheap artifacts for me to be able to go crazy with it in Standard.
Mhm.
Maybe in Modern. Like the blink effect there is nice. I'm just not really seeing a ton on the top.
Yeah, built-in protection is cool. I think that's really awesome. But also, as a blink effect, like you said, you can choose a different kind of card type whenever you want.
I don't think you want to choose a different card type. I think you want to pick a very narrow lane and be able to exploit that cost reduction. Like whenever I
100%.
see an effect like this, I definitely am like going to be flooding my deck with like 1 mana artifacts. That way they're just free.
But it is a possibility.
Not a good one.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But yeah, Stenn, pretty good. Next up is my favorite card of the day. This is Anointed Peacekeeper. Anointed Peacekeeper is 2 and a white for a 3/3 creature human cleric. It has vigilance. It says, as Anointed Peacekeeper enters the battlefield, look at an opponent's hand, then choose any card name. Spells your opponents cast with the chosen card name cost 2 more to cast, and activated abilities of sources with the chosen name cost 2 more to activate unless they're mana abilities. So, during standard rotation, we are losing Elite Spellbinder. If you didn't know what that does, it's the 3/1 flyer that enters that looks at your hand and pulls a single card out, and makes it cost 2 more. This is strictly better on all fronts.
This does not have flying, so I don't want to say strictly better.
It is a 3/3 vigilance that obliterates not just 1 copy, but a copy of 4.
David, can you help me out with something?
Yeah.
Do you see flying on this card?
I don't see flying on this. I do want to at least acknowledge the fact that yes, Hunter brings up a really important point. The other thing here being is you don't have to choose the name of a card that you saw in their hand.
Yes, that's also true.
So like there's a lot more flexibility with this. I don't think this is quite as good of a beater because it doesn't have the evasion. Like the vigilance is cool and it's got the same power. I do think this is probably going to be gummed up a little bit more and not be as effective at being able to pressure for damage. So I don't want to actually say it's just as good. It's different.
What I am going to say is this card is way better.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from, David, but just to be able to put this on the field, turn 3, it is a 3/3 with vigilance. Yes, it can't go over their heads and fly over their heads, but at the end of the day, I'd say like what 9 times out of 10 you're playing a game on Arena or just in general in Standard, people are building basically the same decks, especially if you're climbing ladders. So you know pretty much the cards that are in their deck as long as you can see their hand. So 9 times out of 10, you can pick a card that you know will fuck you.
Yeah, like what let's put this scenario into perspective, Stephen. Let's say I'm playing you with your mill deck. I play this card on turn 3. You're getting all set up, ready to hit me with Tasha, and then I say Tasha's hideous laughter. And now all your Tashas cost 5.
I mean,
I wasn't.
I'm still gonna beat you.
I wasn't saying that this card is better or worse. I'm just simply saying that this card is different. I think that this is not as effective as a finisher. I do think it is better as a disrupting piece.
Oh, 100%. I agree with you there. It's
Daxon
this card.
Standard.
At the same time, if this thing does get removed, the tax effect on it goes away. Whereas, and help me out here because I can't remember the name of the other card to fucking save my life.
Elite Spellbinder?
Yeah. So Elite Spellbinder, if they remove it, the card that they chose with Elite Spellbinder still costs 2 more to cast. With if Anointed Peacekeeper goes away, the tax goes away as well.
I understand that, but this is a 4 of.
I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm saying it's different, and there's different things that you need to pay attention to. I don't think you can just like take 4 Elite Spellbinders out of your deck and throw 4 Anointed Peacekeepers into your deck and expect them to play the same, because they're not going to fulfill kind of the same job there.
And that is
Ooh.
where I will switch to David's side.
Here's the thing though. Put 2 Anointed Peacekeepers and name the same card. Now everything costs 4 more.
And then
That
you
specific
just kill
card
it with
costs 4.
one card.
Yeah, I know. That would really mess someone up.
Yeah, but like if somebody plays a board wipe, which is
Sure.
rampant in Standard. You know what I mean?
It's not.
An Anointed Peacekeeper is nowhere near as good up against decks that run removal.
True. However,
It's
this Anointed Peacekeeper is so much better than Elite Spellbinder in terms of sticking around longer. Things like Meat Hook Massacre just annihilated one toughness.
Do you know what I think? I think that this would be a really fun spot to go to the next card.
I'm enjoying this conversation.
I think I'm with Steven on this one. We're beating a dead horse.
Anointed
I mean, could you
Peacekeeper.
imagine Anointed
Very good.
Peacekeeper beating a dead horse? Look at the fucking arms on that guy, dude.
All right, we'll talk about a board wipe then. Yeah, this is Drag to the Bottom. Drag to the Bottom is 2 and 2 black for a sorcery. It has Domain. It says each creature gets -X, -X until end of turn, where X is 1 plus the number of basic land types among lands you control.
Yeah,
So,
I can drag this straight to the trash can.
at most, 4 mana for a -6/6 if you're running all 5 colors.
This is awful, dude.
So even in just like a mono black deck, giving everything -2/2 because the domain is going to trigger up 1, I think that's really solid in and of itself. But if you're playing this in like a 2 or 3 color deck, like you're playing Grixis Control, you're giving everything -4/4. There's really not a whole lot that's going to be able to survive that. That's going to get around any kind of like indestructible or like trying to protection clause. This is essentially a board wipe in Standard that's just going to nuke everything for 4 mana. I think this is absolutely fantastic. We've seen worse board wipes in this C play.
I'm going to disagree with you.
I'm also going to disagree with you.
I don't like it.
I don't know.
like it.
Even in just a 2-color deck, giving everything -3/3, I'm gonna say that kills probably 90% of standard creatures.
I mean, it does kill Anointed Peacekeeper.
That is 1 creature.
And then we saw 2 other 4 toughness. 3 other 4 toughness.
I do also want to say that, like, just generally speaking, I mean, it seems like the 2 of you are pretty low on Domain. I'm actually pretty high on it. I think Domain is going to be much more powerful than what it reads.
I mean, I will love to see the day.
Yeah, I am. You are correct. Very low on Domain. I don't, and it's very build around.
I don't even
As
think
a-
it's really built around. I think you play a 3-color deck, and this thing is still an absolute monstrosity to deal with. Your opponent plays a single Triome, and this thing is live for 4 mana. Give everything -4/-4.
I mean, and to be honest with you, that's the only benefit I'm going to give this card is the fact that it's a minus. It's not destroy or just you can get away by just giving all your shit indestructible, but the minus is definitely the key on this card that gives me any hope on it. And then I go backwards in the text and I see domain, and then I just completely give up on hope.
I don't know. I just like you play this in a 3-color deck, and this is Languish, and Languish saw play. I don't see why this wouldn't.
Fair. We'll see if you're right or not. I'll let you know. I know you don't play standard, but I will let you know if this sees play.
All right.
Very well could. All right, next up we have Ivy, Gleeful Spellthief. Ivy Gleeful Spellthief is a green and a blue for a 2/1 legendary creature fairy rogue. It has flying. It says whenever a player casts a spell that targets only a single creature other than Ivy, Gleeful Spellthief, you may copy that spell. The copy targets Ivy. So, yes. Pretty cool.
I mean, I love this card. I think this card's going to have a lot of fun interactions.
Yeah, I mean, if your opponent is using pump spells on their creatures, you could just pump this too.
And that's like the best thing, dude. Like whenever a player,
Mm-hmm.
not just you. You know what I mean?
It's
It's
true.
not per turn or once per turn. It's just anytime. And this is 2 mana, and legit, this literally comes out early. You know what I mean? Like this is going to be so fun to play.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know you're kind of leaning towards the EDH side there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it, dude. I don't really play a lot of standard. If there's not a lot of mill in it, I'm not playing standard. But like, I really love EDH. I play EDH every single day, and like, I the interactions that I see and seeing what can be done with this, it makes me really happy. I won't talk too much on the EDH side, but I think this will be really fun. I'm waiting for David to shit on me.
I just love the fact that I'm in total disagreements with both of y'all today. I'm not going to mention EDH because I do actually feel like that's a different story as far as like 60 card constructed formats. I don't think this sees any play whatsoever.
I'll agree to that. I'll agree with that 100%.
It might, and I say might as in we've seen. Well, actually, no. Strixhaven is getting out of standard, so I guess we're not going to be seeing those Magecraft triggers. Never mind. I was going to say it's going to fit into a Magecraft something, but never
No,
mind.
I don't think this is going to be a standard fucking like go to.
Yeah. I guess we'll see though. Is this one going to be in standard? This next one. This next card is Danitha, Benalia's Hope. Danitha, Benalia's Hope is 4 and a white for a 4/4 legendary creature human knight. It has first strike, vigilance, and lifelink. It says whenever Danitha, Benalia's Hope enters the battlefield, you may put an aura or equipment card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield attached to Danitha. Seems pretty sweet.
I mean, this card, like I said, I don't want to dive too deep into EDH, but this is Voltron.
Kind of, yeah.
What do you mean, kind of, dude? This screams Voltron.
Does the one thing one time.
Okay, Eldrazi conscription.
Going too deep. Dave, what do you think?
I am not going to mention EDH, unlike Steven. We'll save that for another time. I
I'm
don't think
sorry.
this card sees play, to be completely fair. As a 5-drop, I know it has keyword soup on it. I feel like it is honestly just outclassed by other creatures currently in standard or getting ready to join into standard. I feel like this is just simply too slow.
Seems kind of like a win more-ish.
Not necessarily. I mean, you can set up your graveyard, and that's the part that like gives me any hope about this card. So like if you are self-milling and happen to drop like a big aura or something in there, just being able to drop this and be able to equip that aura is nice. I don't see her really as anything more than just like a big beater. And at 5 mana, I think that might just be too much.
That's what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, the only reason why I feel like EDH is going to be talked about on this card is just because no one cares about this card in Standard. I don't think
Be
this card will see any Standard play, really,
to be
unless you're building a
completely
super jank deck.
to be completely honest, there's another card in EDH that's already viable that does almost this exact same thing, but does it much better. So I'm not high on her in EDH either. We'll talk more about that then, though.
Who is that person in the background of the art? Looks very familiar.
Another Benalia Knight.
Yeah, it kind of looks like Alicia almost, but not really. Eh,
She's on a different plane entirely. That would be Torkir. If anything, that would be Elspeth.
yeah.
Wow. Get fucked, Hunter.
Yeah, David knows his stuff more than me. What can I
Hell
say?
yeah.
All right, David, you like kings. This is King Darien the 48th. King Darien the 48th is 1, a green and a white for a 2/3 legendary creature human soldier. Says other creatures you control get +1/+1. And you may pay 3, a green and a white, to put a +1/+1 counter on King Darien and create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. You can also sacrifice King Darien. Creature tokens you control gain hexproof and indestructible till end of turn. So we're doing the green-white token counter thing again.
I'm just
Hunter-
waiting for King Darien the 49th.
Hunter, I don't want to steal your thunder because I know the green white tokens is like totally your jam and the only thing you ever care about in terms of Magic. However, I am going to go ahead and throw a petition out there that we ignore Roman numerals for this card and call him by his true name, King Darien XLVIII.
King Darien XLVIII.
He definitely sounds like a robot that way. I'm all here for our King Cyborg.
A lot of King Dariens in Magic, apparently. This
Yeah.
being the 48th.
Yeah, we should wait for the 49th because that might be cooler.
I'm actually pretty high on this card. He's a lord for everything. He gives all of your other creatures +1/+1. He potentially protects your other creatures, assuming those things are actually tokens. And he gives you something to pump your mana into. This card's dope.
Yeah, there's only one other Darien ever printed in Magic.
Is it the
Which
47th?
number?
It's not even a number.
All right,
Yes.
I'm gonna say he's the OG.
If the 48th is the OG?
No, not the 48th. The 48th is currently alive. The other one, the King of Kieldor, or whatever you pronounce that was printed in Ice Age, so that was a long time ago. He's number one. He's number
He
one.
was number one. All right. Yeah, King Darien, I've seen you do this before. Stop it, Wizards. Moving on. Last card of the day. I think this one's pretty cool, David. You'll probably like it too. Silver Scrutiny. Silver Scrutiny is X and 2 blue for a sorcery. It says you may cast Silver Scrutiny as though it had flash if X is 3 or less. Draw X cards. What do you think, Dave?
Pay 4 mana, draw 2 cards at instant speed, or pay 5 or more mana, draw 3 or greater cards at sorcery speed.
You can pay 3 mana and still draw 3 cards.
Okay, let me go ahead and rephrase it. Whenever I said pay that amount of mana, I definitely meant feed it into the X, not including the 2 blue.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
that was definitely a misspoken term. I misspeaked. If there is a control deck that wants this, then sure. I don't really see this, in all honesty, because like I never want to pay 3 mana to draw a card at instant speed, and I think that might be where this thing kind of sees it's like typical casting cost.
You never want to pay 3 mana to draw a card at instant speed?
No, that's too high of a rate.
Would you draw 2 cards for 4?
In some decks, yes, but at 4 mana, I think you're starting to compete with other cards that either A are going to present more of a draw engine for you, or B, if you are going to be in that control deck, like that's kind of the golden mark where you probably want to be doing something else with your mana.
How about 5 mana for 3?
5 mana for 3 at sorcery speed kills this card entirely for me.
No. How about instant? 5 mana for 3.
I still don't think I'm high on this card for that. I mean, thank you, and yes, I definitely like you can pay the 5. I'm still not high on this though.
That's fair.
I am high on this if you're doing this on sorcery speed.
Okay.
It's a lot of card draw.
Can we talk about how cool the artwork is?
It's not that
It's
cool.
2 hands.
You guys are haters.
Yeah, I mean, I get where they're coming from with this card for if they're trying to like do some stuff in standard. I mean, like I think it'll see some play in some control-y decks, but at the same time, it's just like I feel like there are other cards that do it better.
I'm with Steven on this one. Like, it wants to slot into a control deck, but at the same time, if I'm playing control, I don't want to hold 5 mana up to draw cards. I understand that, yeah, sure, if my opponent didn't do anything relevant and I have 5 mana open, this card is fine. But, like, I never want to get to a point where this thing is going to be cast as a sorcery, and I don't know if paying the amount of mana to, like, 5 mana to draw 3, I don't know if that's ever going to be good. I see this honestly being as a 3 mana draw 1 most of the time, and that's not a good rate.
I mean, Innistrad's staying in the set, right? In the standard set.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Memory Deluge. Keep it in your deck.
Good points.
I mean, yeah, you're not technically. I think Memory Deluge is better just because you're scrying and then picking the cards you want. Not to mention that it also has flashback for 7, and then you can look at the 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, I think we'll see about this card. I think it'll see play, honestly.
Yeah, I think it'll see play, and then people will realize that it's not that great, and then they'll.
All right, fair.
I disagree. I think this sees no play.
Wow, going
Hey,
straight.
everyone's got to try something out, right?
All right, but that is it. Before we wrap up, what is your favorite card of the day, boys?
Definitely have to go with Stenn. Paranoid Partition.
I'm going Anointed Peacekeeper.
I'm going to double down on the idea that both of you are wrong. I'm going to say drag to the bottom.
Hey, man, at the end of the day, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, even if they're wrong.
Even if they're wrong. But yeah, that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that like button if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. What are you doing missing out on all the cool content we're creating? We are almost at 2,000 subscribers. We're a little less than 50 subs away. Don't forget to follow us on our Instagram and Twitter, where our Instagram is full of all the spoilers throughout the entire spoiler season, not just the rares and mythics you see in the videos, but also the uncommons and commons. And when you go and like some of those pictures, we talk about the top 3 most liked pictures in the final wrap-up video. So go and get your votes in, essentially. That is at Guys That Magic for both. And until the next video, which is tomorrow, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Later.
Bye.